Assalamualaikum, how are you guys doing? I hope you guys doing great. And in this video we're gonna create this sort of application. So it is basically a spell checker. So if you give a word as an input, so let's say big case, obviously say the spelling is incorrect. So if I now hit check, as we can see, we got some word as a suggestion. First of all, because the correct spelling of this word and some additional suggestion as well. So if I type a different word, let's say suggestion, obviously again it is the incorrect spelling. Now if I hit check, again you can see the correct word is suggestion and some additional suggestion as well. So this is the application what we're gonna make in this video. Pretty simple, straightforward. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so to get started with this project, you have to create a folder. First of all, you can name it anything you want. Just call it spell checker, and in this folder I have two files. First one is spell.py and second is spell.kv. Well, now we can open this folder in any code editor of your choice. I'm using PyCharm as my code editor, and I have already opened that folder in my PyCharm. As you can see, there I have spell.kv and spell.py. Well, to get started with this project, you need Kiwi install on your system, and to install Kiwi, open your terminal or CMD, and after opening your CMD, you can type here pip install Kiwi, and if you are using Linux or Mac, you just can say pip3. And now if you hit enter, your Kiwi will be installed on your system. In my case, it's saying requirement already satisfied is because I have already installed Kiwi. So make sure you install the Kiwi. Well, after installing the Kiwi, we can get started with our project. And to get started with our project, we need some modules from Kiwi. So let's just quickly import them. So first of all, we need from kivy.app, import app. And then we need from kivy.uyx.widget, import widget. Then we need from kivy.core.window, import window. And then we need builder. So to import that builder, we need from kivy.lang.builder, import builder. And the final thing we need is the spelling checker, and Kiwi has a built-in spelling checker, so we have to import it. To import it, let's say from kivy.core.spelling import spelling. Okay, so now let's create a class. So to create a class, let's say class, and let's the name of the class is gonna be spell widget. And this spell widget class will inherit this widget class we have already imported, right? So let's say widget, and for now let's say pass. I'm not gonna do anything in here in this class for right now. We'll get back to this class later. And then let's create another class, and the name of the class, let's say spell app, and this class is gonna be inherit this app class. So let's paste it here, and now inside of this, let's say create a build function, and this build function is gonna return our spell widget. And then let's say if underscore name is equal to main. So in here we're gonna run this app. To run this app, let's say spell app, not spell widget. Make sure it's spell app dot run. And now if we run our application, we should see a black screen. Yeah, there you go, we got our black screen. but the screen size is quite big, right? We don't need that big of size, so let's set our screen size according to us. We already imported a class called window. We need to use this, so let's say window dot size, and it's going to take a tuple. And let's say for me, I'm gonna set the size to 350 to 550. 350 is the width and 550 is the height. And now if I run this, you're gonna say a smaller size of window. Yeah, there we go. So now we have to create the layout or the design of this application. If you remember the previous one, the finished one, we have this kind of layout. So we're gonna create that. So we're gonna create that layout inside of this spell.kv file, but the problem is the kv file is not linked to our spell.py file, right? So to link that, we're gonna use the builder method. So this builder we have already imported, right? So let's say builder dot load file, and then you have to give the path of your file. So for me it's in the same file, so I just have to say spell.kv. So it's linked. So that's it, it's linked. Our spell.kv file is linked with our Python file. So for now, let's forget our Python file. Let's go to our kv file, and we have to do all those designing stuff inside of this kv file. So we're gonna use box layout to design our application, but first of all, let's just copy this spell widget class name and just came here. And inside of greater than and less than sign, you have to put the name of that particular class, because we want to put all our design inside of this class, right? So basically what it's saying, that it's saying put all our design inside of this class. Okay, so now we have to use box layout. So hit enter and then make sure you hit a tab for indentation. Well, make sure your indentation is always correct. Don't use space. Don't try to use space like this. Always use tab to make sure your indentation is correct. Okay, so once you hit enter and then hit tab for indentation, and then you have to say box layout, and then again you have to hit enter and tab. So by typing box layout like this, we can use box layout inside of Kiwi design language. Well, there are a lot of other kinds of layout as well. We have grid layout, we have float layout, and another one is the box layout, which we are going to use in this video. And now what you need to do, you need to set the orientation of the box layout. So to set the orientation, so let's say orientation, and inside of the double quote or single quote, let's say vertical. So you can use horizontal or vertical, those two orientation, but for this application I'm going to use vertical orientation. And then let's say size, root.width and root.height. So basically what this line is doing is setting the size of the box layout according to our window.size. Okay, so it's going to take 350 pixel as width and 550 pixel as height, and this root is representing our Python file. Okay, this file. So this root is representing our this file, and the width and height is representing our these two parameters or these two values. Okay, so now if I hit run, nothing will change, everything will remain same. As we can see, everything is same. Now let's create a label inside of this box layout. So to create label in Kiwi, you gotta say label, and then you have to give some property of this label like text and font size and background color and all those stuff. So we're gonna give it here. So let's say text. The text of this label is gonna be, I don't know, let's say label text. I don't have any idea what should I type here. Let's say label text, and then let's set a font size to 20. Let's give a size. To give a size, let's say size int, and it's gonna also accept a tuple, and the size of this label is gonna be 100% horizontally and 90% vertically. Okay, well, now let's set a background color. Well, now the way Kiwi handles color is kind of weird. Normally color goes from 0 to 255, but in case of Kiwi it goes from 0 to 1. So that's mean if you want white, users can type 1 1 and 1, and another parameter it takes 1. This 1 is basically alpha, the opacity of that particular color. So let's forget about this right for this moment. So this is the value of RGB. This is R, this is G, and this is B, means red, green and blue. But if you notice our finished application, the background color of this level is kind of dark gray, right? It's not totally black or it's not totally white. It's kind of dark gray. So how you can put dark gray in from range 0 to 1? This is really tricky to have this kind of color, right? When you need a custom color, this is really tricky in Kiwi. So to solve that problem, what you're gonna do, let's go to Google and let's say color picker. And now if I put some value, let's say I want a value which is already decided, 23, 23 and 23. So basically this is the color which I want to be applied in our application. But how would you put this RGB value in here, because it's only accepts from 0 to 1? Well, to Kiwi 23 means nothing, right? So how would you put this 23 RGB value in here? So to solve that problem, what you can do, you can say, you can take that RGB color which was in our case was 23, 23 and 23, and now what you can do, you can divide each of the RGB value by 255. So when you do that, it's gonna take the value from 0 to 1, right? In perspective of Kiwi, Kiwi is getting the value from 0 to 1, but we are giving the RGB value like this. Okay, so this is the color, and the opacity of this color is gonna be 100%. So that's why I said 1 in here. Okay, so now if I run the program, you can see the label text, but the color of the background is not which we wanted. It's totally black, right? We don't want total black. So to apply background color in label is kind of tricky. It's not as easy as you thinking, so but it's not that complex as well. So now this is our color which we want to set into our label. So now what you have to do, you have to say canvas dot before, and then you have to say color, and then RGBA. Now we have to refer this color in here. So to refer that, let's say self dot background color. Okay, so name of this, we're referring this background color in here. Okay, and then we have to create a rectangle. So let's say rectangle, and the size of this rectangle is gonna be the size of our label. So to do that, let's say size, self.size. So this self.size is gonna be to take as the same size of our label, so which is this 100% and 90%. Okay, and the position would be the same as our label. So let's say position, self.position. So basically what we're doing, we're creating a rectangle on top of this label, and then we're colorizing that rectangle. So it seems like that our label will be colorized. So now if I hit run, you see our label is colorized. It's not totally black, it's kind of dark gray. Okay, now let's set the text color as well. To set a text color, what you have to do, you have to say color, and it also accepts a tuple. And similarly what we're gonna do, we're gonna give a color of RGB value So this is the RGB value which I want to be in our text color, and then we have to simply divide it by 255, and the alpha value or the opacity of this color is gonna be 100%, so it is gonna be 1. So if I hit run, yeah, now it's looking good. So our level is complete, but the thing is left is the text input and this button. Okay, so now let's quickly make them. So now if you observe them, we gotta create another layout inside of this box layout. We have to create a grid layout inside of this box layout. Yes, we can create layout inside of other layout as well. We're gonna create a grid layout inside of this box layout. Okay, so let's go. Make sure you're inside of the box layout. Okay, so this is the inside of this box layout, and in this line we have to create the grid layout. Make sure you're this is camel case, G and L in uppercase, and then what you have to do, you have to get inside of this grid layout. Okay, so inside of this grid layout we have to specify few things. We have to specify the column and the row. We have to say that how many column and how many row we want inside of this grid layout. So in our case the row is 1. This is 1 row, right? This is 1 row, and we need 2 columns. One column for this text input and another column for this button. So let's declare them. Let's say calls. We need 2 columns, and rows we need 1 row. Okay, then what we have to do, we have to create a text input inside of this grid layout. So create a text input. Let's say text input, and inside of this text input what we have to do, so initially let's say the text of this text input is gonna be type something. And the font size of this is gonna be 20, and the size of this text input is gonna be, let's say, size hint horizontally it's gonna take 80% of the space, and vertically it's gonna take the 100% of each space. And now if I hit run, okay, I'm getting an error. Let's see, it's problem. Okay, I'm sorry, I misspelled the grid layout. So grid layout, and now if I hit save and run it again, there you go. So this is our text input. You can type anything in here. So basically now it's in white color, but we're gonna change it. Obviously we're gonna change the color, don't worry. So before that, let's add our button. And to add button, I hope you already guessed that how we can add button. So let's say button, and inside of this button, that the text of this button is gonna be let's say check, and then the font size is gonna be 18. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be 18, and the size hint is gonna be 0.2, what that means 20% from horizontally and 100% vertically. So now if I hit save and run, there you go, our check button is here. Basically it's doing nothing right now, but we're going to change everything. So we got our label, we got our text input and button. Now all we have to do is we have to color this text input and the button, right? So let's just color it. Let's color the text input first. The background color of this text input is gonna be let's say the background color is 62 divided by 255, 50 divided by 255, and 153 divided by 255. and for now let's say the opacity is 100%, and the foreground color or the text color is gonna be, let's say, foreground color, and the foreground color is gonna be 237 by 255, 237 and 100% of opacity. Now if I run it, so as you can see, we're getting that color we needed. Okay, so now let's set the color of our button. The color of our button is gonna be same. The background color, let's say background color is gonna be same as this. So let's just copy it and paste it. Now if I run it, you can see the color of button and the color of our text input is not same, but we have given the same value, right? If you notice here, the background color value are same for both of those, so for both the text input and the button, but in reality those color are different. Is because the button, when you are setting the color for button always takes a darker color of you have given. So to solve that issue, you have to say background normal and a empty string. Hit run. As you can see, both color are same now, but the text input of this is not matching with our finished one, right? Now if I change the opacity of the text input background color, let's say 0.3, and now if I run it, yeah, now it's looking good. So for now, let's just remove this text. We don't need it anymore. Okay, so now if I run it, yeah, it's looking good, but I don't know you can notice it or not. I can see a black border around this text input, really thin border, but it's really disturbing to me. It's not looking good. So to remove this border, we have to say in this text input again background normal and a empty string. So there you go. And now if I run it, yeah, the problem of this black border is solved. That black border was really thin, hard to see. I don't know if you can notice that or not, but whatever, just give this property called background normal and it will be solved. Okay, so now let's put some ID. Let's say ID of this label is, let's say, suggested words, and let's say the ID of this text input is gonna be user word, and the ID for this button is gonna be check word. Okay, so why we're setting this ID, because we can refer this ID into our Python file so that we can perform some functionality with this button. Okay, so as we're done with our design, let's say we get back to our Python. Now we have to give the functionality that we can actually check our word, right? So to do that, let's say create a function inside of this spell.widget class, let's say df, and the function name is, let's say, check word. Okay, and it's not gonna take any parameters. Inside of this, let's say create an instance of the spelling called spelling. So we just create an instance of this spelling class called spell. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to select a language. So to select a language, let's say spell dot select language. Let's select the English language. So let's say English US. Okay, so now what we have to do, somehow we have to get the input of user. So let's say user type the big case. Suppose user type this word, we have to get that word to suggest word related to this. Okay, if you notice, user typing this inside of this text input, right? So we have to grab the text input. So to grab the text input, we need the ID of the text input. So let's just copy this ID and let's say what is equal to self.ids dot the ID name, in this case is user ID, user what, sorry, and then dot text. So what this line is doing is grabbing the particular ID which is user what, and inside, and it's taking the text, all of the text which is written inside of this user input, okay, and then it's storing that text inside of this word variable. So let's just create suggestion. Let's create a variable, and inside of this let's say spell dot suggest, and suggest what we're gonna suggest. We're gonna suggest based on that word which user have given, right? And then let's say first of all let's create another empty variable. Let's say prev what, and this is an empty string, this is a empty variable, okay. So now we have to use a for loop to go through each and every suggestion given by this suggest method. So let's say suggestion in suggestions, what we're going to do, we're going to, let's say, update this previous word variable by, let's say, create an f string, and inside of this f string let's say previous word, and n line means new line suggestion. Okay, so what we are doing here, we're taking that previous word and then we are giving a new line, we're creating a new line, and then we are printing the new suggestion in here again. This might seem a little bit confusing for you guys, so this particular code is returning a list of suggested word, and then we're just storing that list inside of this suggestion variable. And then what we're doing, we're going through each of that element of that particular list, and we're just printing that particular list line by line, okay. So now what we have to do, we have to now if I run it, you won't be able to see anything. If I run it and if I say anything, you won't see anything, right? You won't see anything is because we haven't updated our label yet. To update our label, what we have to do, let's get out of our for loop, and here let's say self.ids dot, now we have to grab the label. So what was the ID of our label? That was suggested word. Let's copy it and paste it here, and what we're going to update, we're going to update the text of that label by the previous number or previous word, okay. And now if I run it, it is still not gonna work, is because I done a little mistake. I didn't add this check word function to our spell.kv. So we have to add this to our button. So to add this, let's say on press. So on press of this button, what we want to run this function, okay. Want to run this function. Okay, so now if I run and if I type something and if I hit check, you can see what weird, it's suggesting me those two words, right? Now if I type something else and hit check, it's suggesting me some word. So now if I, for example, if I remove this n line, new line, and hit a comma, and then if I run it again, let's say bcase, and if I hit enter, it's gonna separate those words by comma, but we don't want this to be separated by comma because it's not looking good for me at least. So I preferred here n line or new line \n, which will create a new line, okay. So that's why this new line is here. So now if I run again and bcase, and there you go, it's suggesting some word. Again, if I check it, it's suggesting me what. Okay, so our spell checker is complete almost, but so if you notice it now, it's just using its default font, right? It's just using its default font, but what if you want to change the font of your Kiwi application? So to change the font, let's go to our get back to our Kiwi file, and to change our font, first of all we need some font. So for me, I already have some font, the Poppins. It's one of my favorite fonts, so I'm gonna use this Poppin font. In terms of using custom fonts, you have to set a property called markup to true. You have to set this property to true. Otherwise, you won't be able to use your custom fonts if you don't set this markup to true. So we don't need this text anymore. Let's just remove it and set font. So to set our custom font, let's say font name, and inside of this you have to give the path of that font. You have to give the path of that font. In my case, it's in the same folder, so I just have to give this name. And then let's go back to our text input, and in here we have to set another font. So similarly, let's say markup to true, and the font name is gonna be the same one. And again we have to set another font for this button. So let's say markup to true, and font name is gonna be the, and let's just paste it here. There we go. And now if I run it, yeah, the font is been applied. So if I type something, yeah, the font is applied. Great. But now if you are getting an error in your application, you might install another package called pyenchant. So just type pip install pyenchant or pip3 and hit enter. Your pyenchant will be installed, and your error will be solved, and your error is going to be solved. In my case, it's already installed. Okay, so now we got another problem is if your text input is empty, and now if you click on this check button, your application is going to crash. Okay, so this is the problem we are having right now. So notice the error, it says value error. So we have to catch this exception. So to get rid of this problem, we have to use try and except block. So let's just cut it. Let's just cut that part of code, and let's say try, and inside of this try, let's paste that code. Okay, so let's paste that code. Okay, and except value error. What we're gonna do, if we are getting any value error, then we have to do is, let's say self.id is dot suggested word dot text is equal type a word. So now if you run it, and if you click the check button without entering any word, it's just gonna say type a word. It's not gonna crash. For this particular problem, your application is not gonna crash. So let's say bcase. There you go. And now again, let's just clear our screen and just let's say check. It's not, our application is not going to crash anymore. So there you go guys, our application is complete. If you want to know more about Kiwi language, you can check out my previous video. Well, this is it for today's video. Thank you so much guys. Thanks for watching this video. Take care. Bye bye. Tata.